Welcome, everybody, to a special episode of the Popcorn Watchlist podcast, where we discuss and celebrate our favorites in TV and film. I am your host, Xavier, and today we have a twofer going on. Thankfully, we actually all just got back from a few days ago from watching the recently released Twisters, and that got us inspired to go back and rewatch the original, and we figured, why not just make it just like in the movies where there are twin tornadoes, just mash them up together and see what kind of mayhem and wild raucousness we can come out of it. So joining me are my fellow movie Popcorn Watchlist panelists and soon to be probably storm chasers because of how hyped they were with this movie. Both these movies are both going to be the three of us: Danny, Zach, and Anthony.
Hello.
So this was actually really exciting that we got to go back and rewatch the original Twister from 1996. I'm pretty sure Anthony and I watched this in theaters when it came out, like actually in 96.
Yeah, I did.
When these guys weren't even born.
I was born.
I was still a little.
Were you?
I was born in 95.
He was a wee lad.
You were 1 year old.
Not even. You were like maybe 9 months when it came out.
Let's young shame them. No, I'm
Sure.
kidding. No, so he's like, look, I was born, but there's no way I would have seen this.
Came out, what, 96?
May of 1996.
Okay.
That was like the beginning of the summer blockbuster season. It was Warner Brothers films, but technically also released by Universal. Like, that's some wild thing from back in the day. Yep.
I was 9 at that time then.
I was 8, yeah, because my birthday's later in the year. I remember seeing that movie, man. And then, wild thing enough, like, it was, for its time, like, so, like, it's, like, practical, but also a little bit of CG. Like, you can tell, like, with some of the tornado stuff in the background, but a lot of the storm stuff that the actors went through were pretty wild, especially, like, the practical destruction sets. And, looking as a kid, you just thought, whoa, this is insane. And it made you think, like, we're all here from Florida. Or, I know after the movie, I was with a friend of mine, and we were debating what was stronger, a hurricane or a tornado. And he's just like, yeah, but hurricanes have tornadoes in them. He's just like, I was like, whoa. I was like, he's right. But, it was just cool. It was wild to see because, we're down in the Southeast. We don't live in the Midwest where tornadoes are way more commonplace. But, it's a really fun movie. You have, the legendary late, great Bill Paxton. You also have Helen Hunt. Man, she was popular in the 90s. But then this movie, originally Twister, before we get into Twisters, had a lot of people that back in the day were like popular or just gaining popularity. Like you have Carrie Elwes, who obviously is super popular from Princess Bride, and at this point, Robin Hood Men in Tights. Philip Seymour Hoffman, Alan Ruck from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which Zach still hasn't seen.
Nope.
Alan Ruck's in Succession?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I guess I gotta go back and watch it. Todd Field randomly is in that. Joey Slotnick, you know who I'm talking about? Joey Slotnick, he has like a kind of long, thinnish face. I'm gonna show Anthony's on his picture on IMDb, and you'll be like, oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah, he's one of those where it's like, oh, okay, that guy.
You're supposed to say, oh yeah, that guy.
Oh yeah,
really just said,
I did.
Oh, yeah.
He's one of those guys where like,
that guy.
you don't know the name, but when you see him, like, oh, I've seen him in things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, you see Joey's.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Exactly.
The funny thing, because I rewatched it, and I noticed, I've mentioned before, Lost is one of my favorite shows.
2 people from Lost.
3 people.
3? Wait,
I found 3 people.
Wait, who's the third? Because it's Jeremy Davies and Patrick Fischler, like for sure.
Yeah. So
Who's
Patrick
the third?
Fischler was Phil. He was one of the Dharma Initiative people in season 5.
I hate that guy. But yeah.
And then Jeremy Davies, who was Daniel Faraday, who's also in the God of War 2018 game.
He's Balder.
He's the bad guy.
Oh really?
Yeah, that's Balder.
Okay.
And then what's his face? Sean Whalen, who played Frogurt. He was one of those background characters in Lost.
God, dude,
that was
you're
on
right.
the island that the audience usually made fun of that guy.
Dude, you're but like
He was on the Helen Hunt's crew.
oh my gosh. Okay, so we're gonna keep going.
Yeah.
We have
So there's your go watch Lost moment.
Yeah,
for
go
this
watch Lost
episode.
moment, yeah.
Now we just need a go watch community moment.
no. You
There
also
it
have a. I remember Zach Grenier He again a whole bunch of random stuff in the late '90s, early 2000s. Eric LaRae Harvey, if you ever saw Luke Cage, he's Diamond Head. Or Diamondback, sorry. Diamondback. Let me see who else. Jake Busey randomly is in this for like a couple of stuff. And then a whole bunch of... Oh, yes. The ultimate is if... for all you Spy Kids fans... Alexa Vega is young Joe Hart.
I was surprised when I saw that, and I saw the cast like, so and so plays a young Joe, and I tapped the name. I'm like, oh my god! It's...
By the way, that scene still hits.
Yeah,
like, the beginning of the movie is still pretty. Like you're just like, man, that sucks. It's just like you know, the dad's just trying to do his best to just try to hold the door down because the bolt just breaks, and he's like, I can't do it, and then just gone, and like that perfectly sets up like, man, this poor girl is probably traumatized by this. She's so traumatized now she chases storms to try to, have better detection systems. And that's the whole plot of the movie is you have these storm chasers that are in it to try to improve the science behind it. Also for the bit of the thrill. Then you have people like Carrie Elwes' characters trying to make it more about the money and kind of like the bit of the fame. And then
Lois Smith is in it too. She plays Aunt Meg.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's right. She's much like watching this movie. Like she's definitely like younger. As like, and I remember her being in like a whole bunch of other stuff too. Like, that's right. She was in The Nice Guys and she was in Minority Report. But like again, she's like a small bit character actor. She's a
small
part actor that really helps move things along. Very notable because she's good. Like she's really good. And then
supporting cast.
Yeah, the supporting cast. Like they fit her into a lot of good stuff. But then you have basically the whole plot of the movie is Bill Paxton as Bill Harding trying to just basically try to serve divorce papers to his separated wife just so he can move on with his life, and then gets sucked
into a tornado.
Yep, sucked into a tornado of circumstance. And it's great because his girlfriend or his fiance, she's also a doctor, but she's a psychologist. And
Melinda?
Yeah.
No, it's Melissa.
No, it's Melissa. Yeah. Melissa, please. The whole half the movie is just like, come on, honey. And then she just rides with Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, and it's just like with Dustin, and it's like that dude is just so hilariously unhinged.
The suck zone.
He's like, yeah, you get into the suck zone. But yeah, from there we just it's like this. It sounds really corny, but this really wild and turbulent ride of just chasing tornadoes from one to the other and just getting into wilder and wilder circumstances. The movie's a lot of fun. I'm really happy we got to go back and rewatch it. Like, there's a lot of things to appreciate in the film.
Who was it directed by?
Directed by the one and only Jan de Bont.
Jan de Bont.
I love Mr. I love all like Zach and Daniel are like, who?
Jean de Bont.
Very
Jan de Bont. He directed.
Yeah,
dude.
In Guardians of the Galaxy kind of moment.
Pretty much, yeah. No, man. Jan de Bont did like he did Speed.
Speed 2.
Speed 2. Well, we don't talk about Speed 2.
And
Sandra Bullock also doesn't talk about Speed 2. And what?
Tomb Raider.
Yes, the first one.
With
the second, or is it Cradle of Life?
Cradle of Life.
Okay, so yeah, there you go.
Is it the first one or the second one?
That's the second one. Cradle of Life is the second one.
Still Angelina Jolie?
Yeah. The first two were Angelina Jolie. Yes.
What was the second one?
Yeah, the second one is who's in that with the second one? Gerard Butler.
Okay.
Randomly. But anyway, this movie's awesome. This movie's a whole lot of fun. Like for it being like I don't know how you guys felt. Actually, you know what? Before I get into how I felt, I want to know how Danny, you've seen Twister before, right?
Yeah.
Zach, have you seen this movie before?
No, it was the first time.
Okay, so Zach's gonna be our test subject.
Oh boy.
It's not an 80s movie, but
going into a movie
90s.
that was made still before you were born, but one of these tentpole summer blockbuster films. What did you think overall of the film?
I think it was okay. It wasn't that bad.
It's fun, right?
I didn't dislike it, but
There you
it's
go.
oh wow, this is such a cool movie. I never thought that at all. Okay,
No, but you're like, this is fun. This is wild.
okay, it looks cool. Like the effects are decent for the most part. There's still some very
when it came out, it was groundbreaking
Yeah.
when it came out. It was like, whoa.
Like that final tornado at the very end, like that. I remember.
It still looks good.
That's
pretty
freaked me out. Like What the hell? Like it could be a mile wide. Like there's no way. Like the storm was a mile wide, but the tornado itself.
Or like the one in the when they're in the drive-in. Was it the drive-in?
Yeah, it was a drive-in movie theater. Yeah.
Like, just because it's so dark, like when they did do like a
when the lights came on again, it's like, oh, this
you
is.
just see it in the background. You're like, oh,
Ooh,
yeah.
get out of there.
It felt like every storm was actively out to like try to get people. Like they were just like, we're gonna go. Like I'm gonna find you. Like even the final scene.
It's like they had sentience, so they
Right?
they're going after.
They're like, oh, you're a storm chaser.
They were hunting Helen Hunt.
I'll be honest. I'm gonna be honest. I thought this movie, the first one, I thought it was genuinely going to be about some kind of sentient tornado that was.
I thought it was a Sharknado.
And I thought it was going to be the same tornado that the whole movie.
Oh my god!
It was called One Twister because the movie's just called
because
Twister.
it's singular. So like, I'm thinking, okay, like is this like one of
the
those
main event is that one storm.
Yeah,
like
just
one.
the one.
It keeps
and
coming back.
It just lingers around, comes back, and starts destroying the town. Tries to suck up people. Like that's what maybe not to that extreme, but I
It's
thought
Twister.
it was going to be one.
It's Twister because they're trying to find the one Twister to send the Dorothy probes in.
So that means you liked it more because there were more than one, right?
They gave you more than what you expected.
Sure, we'll say that.
Exceeded your expectations.
The whole fact that like not the water cyclones, but like I remember. Okay, so we have to talk about the cows, the flying cows, or was it the
just
same
one.
cow?
It was just
It
one
the
cow.
same cow.
Yeah,
Good.
same
Glad
cow.
you
It
guys
just
paid
twirled
attention.
around.
Because it was when they were going over that water.
Bill's like, it's another cow. And
Cow.
Yeah.
Joe's like, I think it's the same cow. Like they're dead set on trying to get this storm done, especially because Bill gets spurred into helping because of what's this other guy's name? Jonas.
Guy.
Yeah, because Jonas is like rolling in with his cool all black team and super like not Dorothy like rip off like.
Dot.
Yeah, like we're calling it Dot. It was like, and he had his funny like Texas accent too. So it's just like, this guy's so like insufferable, and you know,
Have you seen all their equipment, like all their computers,
yeah, all their
like,
super fancy
their-
stuff, and then they're
in their
trying.
van and like all the stuff.
And it's funny because
Only in it for the money. Not
yeah, that's, I love that line.
Yeah, there's some
Money.
cheesy lines and some cheesy dialogue,
But Bill
it's a
Paxton
very
sells it so
yeah, it's
well.
a very 90s movie, very 90s.
He sells it so well, man. Like, and you know, like again, it follows those very standard beats. But like to Zach's point, like I sometimes felt the twisters were sentient because that final twister when they're trying to run through the house, like with like. They go into the one bar and there's a whole bunch of sharps. It's like, who are these people? And then
Like, nope, let's get out of here.
and then everything starts trying to like murder them.
Kill
I was
them.
like, what the hell? Or when the house gets blown over and they just drive through the house.
part's
Like, dude, this
awesome.
is
Yeah,
great.
that part's
And what, like,
Or at the end
Yeah,
when they're
those are
holding
good.
on to the, like I don't know, the
that
pipes.
scene is burnt in my brain
But
forever.
the tornado is literally going right through the center, like they're looking up.
Yeah, like, and they're like, they're in the whole suction of it and just freaking out,
Yeah,
but then they
They're
see
in
the clarity.
subzone.
Yeah.
And like that scene always, I remember, like, will always stick with me because they're like, no, we need this. And it's like these, like, you know, these leather belts that they probably use for machinery, and they just kind of strap each other in and just hold on tight.
And I think we mentioned it last episode towards the end that I think the three of us have done that, like Twisters
The ride?
ride.
The
That's
walk
no longer there.
ride
Yeah, yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Zach, you haven't done it.
I do remember going to Universal many years ago during that time when they still had it, but I refused to do it because I was a kid. Like
Yeah.
I was probably
I don't like tornadoes.
If you would have watched the
Every
movie, you would be like,
single
whoa,
day.
this is cool. I gotta go check it out. Watch a cow fly.
What was cool is that the line, once you like go in the building, the line for it was kind of like a set of a messed up or mangled like house. So it was all like
yeah.
destruction of a house, and you're walking in the house, and that's the cue of before you get to like the set of the. It's not really a ride. It's not a ride.
more
It's
like
like
an
you walk
It's
into
like a show
you walk into
experience.
essentially like the set of the drive-in theater. And so it's kind of like you're there
And you're
watching the
simulating
outdoor
it.
scene. It's like simulating the scene where the tornado comes and
Yeah.
destroys the area, and you're there watching. You're experiencing the rain, the wind of the tornado. You see a tornado, and then stuff blows up, so you experience fire. So it's kind of like a 4DX experience.
Okay.
But you're just there, like witnessing it and watching it, and then I think where you were standing like moved a little bit, so
it did some rumbling.
Yeah, it
if
was
I
a whole
remember.
thing.
Like
but-
if maybe the sound enough to just kind of rumble the plates under.
So it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna sit down and go through a little ride and we're gonna be chased by a twister. It was more like we're gonna walk in and like be part of
It's like one of
the
those,
experience of a twister.
I mean, because Universal Studios back in the day was really like that. Like
Yeah.
it was the whole like, hey, like
Experience.
you're gonna like be in the movies, like so, and it was like, hey, this is what it would be like to be on the set or like experience what you saw in the movie. Especially since it was so popular, like the movie made bank. But
Yeah, it made 495 million
that's 90s
Back
money,
then.
guys.
Oh, and if you're
with a $92 million budget.
if you're our age, me and Xavier, or older, you would know that before the Twister ride or experience, it was a Ghostbusters experience.
Oh, I missed the Ghostbusters experience
Which
so
it was
much.
very fun when it was there. I don't remember too much of it, but I do remember it was fun. And that's why in that
I
area
remember
you
it being
see a bunch
loud
of
when the
like
Proton
New York
Packs-
iconography, like in the background, kind of like not sets, but what would you call that?
when you
Background
the backdrops,
silhouettes,
the
yeah,
backdrop,
like
yeah.
backdrops. Yeah, so that's why there's like New York building backdrops in that area because they never took it down from that Ghostbusters.
I know exactly.
Section.
I can picture. It's like I forgot where. I don't know if it's
It's all the way in the corner in the back.
in the back.
Oh, or depends. It depends.
So it's where the very edge of like the Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket roller coaster
Okay, so
goes
it
through.
is there, but
So it's
but the mummy's
far-
also there.
yeah,
No,
but it's
the
to the
mummy's
left of the
over
mummy.
to the it's the mummy would be if you're facing that New York backdrop, it's going to be over to the right.
The mummy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to see still a bit of the line for Twister, best way to check it out is during horror nights. Like 1 or 2 of the houses, they go through the back lots
Oh,
and the back sets
actually, yeah.
of that area, and then it's part of when you get out of the ride, you get into the line of what used to be Twister.
Well, they also replaced it with the Jimmy Fallon ride thing, where it's like ride through New York. So it kind of makes more sense now that
'Cause
there's
it's
like
still
the
a
New
New
York
York
stuff
thing.
there.
Yeah,
It's a pretty fun ride, but it's another sit down and watch a 3D.
with a little bit, which you also
Simulator.
get with Despicable Me. So
Right.
whatever.
It's fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But-
yeah, like
Bring back Ghostbusters.
and bringing back, like now thinking about it, like twist, like that whole Twister experience was really fun. But yeah, it did get dated. But is there a way to just refresh it or revamp it, like they tried to do with Earthquake for a little bit? I think that could have been still a fun way to keep it going.
And then they took
but yeah,
away
dude.
Earthquake for the Fast and the Furious ride.
We're not going to talk about that. I could go. We can
Let's
go on.
continue.
Let's continue
To
talking
Twister.
about just to wrap up and sum up Twister. Being it's just a good time like at the movies. I think it's a good time to sit down to watch a movie. Like I remember watching this movie and just kind of like chuckling or kind of like whoa, and like just like a lot of the big disaster sequences. Like and then you had your little bits of emotion too, like Joe's aunt when the storm went to her town. Like
And they're
that
rushing
was
yeah.
to go.
yeah, they're trying to rush her.
there.
We gotta go. Like that was like a bit harrowing. Like, and you can, and especially since you met her earlier and she just like fed everybody, and they're like, "Oh, you see
All
any
the
cows?"
food.
No, that's why. Like, that was funny. But
Dark humor.
so it's wild to see like the whole town just destroyed, and then you go to her house, and then she's kind of stuck in. Shout out to the dog.
Yeah.
That's the MVP right there. Because if not,
Yeah, they-
if it weren't for the dog, they wouldn't have gotten her out of time. And you saw the house just
They
crumble from
made
the
it
inside out.
just in time.
Yeah, it's like, no, I'll be okay. It's like, no, he's like, no, we're not leaving you. Like, that was great. Like, that was a great kind of like moment. And then what's great too is that Melissa, part of seeing her, just like, this is too, I can't. Like, she's freaking out because they're going through all this stuff in the storm. So she's like the fish out of water character. And, there were times where you legitimately feel for like, dude, what are you still doing here? Like, this is nuts.
She's just riding along with her soon-to-be husband, and then she realizes it was a mistake.
Yeah, because like we just need to get these divorce papers. It's like, how difficult would that get to be? Impossible, because it never happens.
Nope.
Yeah. Great movie, man. It's it's a fun time at the theaters, and I do remember. Like that's one of the times I remember getting out of the theater and just kind of being really kind of like, no pun intended, blown away.
How dare you?
Yeah, back then the special effect, watching it now, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, some of it, doesn't look too hot. But back then, all the special effects looked really good. Even Even the cow looked good back then. You're like, why is there a cow?
Yeah, like with the legs moving here, you're like, wow, this is legit. And it's just a really fun time in the movies. It would have been fun for you guys to have maybe experienced that if they had done like a back-to-back.
Imagine that back in the day in 4DX.
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 That would have
Nice.
That would have scared people.
Dude, just the intro scene.
Just
the
the
intro scene
intro.
alone, you would have been.
That would have been like, I'm done.
shaking
I
like
know
crazy.
people were like, I'm done after a little while in the movie. But I think that's a perfect segue to go right into talking about.
The extreme. But one more thing though, I just wanted to mention
No, really back.
the music. Sorry, just one more thing. The score of the movie.
Who did it? I remember.
The
It's the
score
guy
of the
who's
movie.
done.
The guy who did the score for Bad Boys.
Mark Mancina. Yes, you can really tell. Like, there's a part where like they're chasing, and there's like some wild piano thing going on. I was like, damn, like he's going in. Like you just mix that into there. But yeah, he did quite a few things. Did he?
It worked well with.
He
the
also
movie.
did the music for Speed, funny enough, or like he arranged the music for Speed. Yeah, it was really really cool. He also did Bad Boys 2.
Mhm.
You ain't never seen Bad Boys 2? Anyway, speaking of twos, let's go right into Twisters. I don't know. Going into Twisters, I'm pretty sure Anthony and I kind of felt, oh man, this may be a little like, is this like too cheesy? What are we doing bringing this back? I don't know how, like, I guess that's how I felt, but I don't know how you guys felt about there being the concept of a like spiritual sequel to the original.
Yeah, from the beginning, I wasn't sure what it was. I'm like, is it one of those legacy sequels where it's
Prequel sequel?
20 or 30 years later, and they'll bring the old actors or characters back, but it will be like a semi-sequel, and it wasn't. And so I don't know if it's just a complete reboot and they have some nods to the original. I think that's what it ended up being.
There's a lot of we'll talk about a lot of the
Apparently
callbacks.
It said it was a standalone sequel
What's this?
rather than.
So it's just a sequel. Why
So-
would you have to say standalone?
Yeah, it's a sequel,
But, like,
but
it
doesn't bring the
directly-
original
Yeah, it
characters
doesn't
back.
directly tie into the first one.
Because they have the Dorothies. The Dorothies are
that I
very
noticed
beginning.
right away.
Yeah,
the Dorothies are a set piece of equipment that they use to study the storm. So like
Yeah.
that's totally a thing. But there are a lot of like interesting callbacks and originally to the film. But yeah, going back to like how you felt originally, how they were gonna do.
Yeah,
the
so
film.
it was just like I wasn't sure if I would be interested, but the more trailers they started showing, I'm like, okay, it looks decent enough. And I definitely felt like it would have been a movie to go see in 4DX.
Yeah, and not only that, there's the undeniable Glenn Powell factor in this movie. This man's been writing, been on the gust winds, on the come up of everything, from Top Gun Maverick and a couple, anyone but you, Hitman, and now going into Twisters. Like the dude is
And then he did another like aviation movie.
Oh, Devotion.
Right.
yes, he did
Devotion,
Devotion.
yeah.
Yep. So like it's just they're going, man. Like it's just like he's
You can't forget Spy Kids 3D.
Spy- and that one
Scream
random
Queens.
dude who gets his face bashed in by Bane in Dark Knight.
Oh, that's
Rises.
Right, he's in Dark Knight.
Do it
Rises.
again. But
Oh, from the Wall Street guy.
Yeah,
that's
Yeah.
right. Oh my
that's
god.
him. But yeah,
That's-
dude.
I forgot
We're
about
on
that.
the
That's
real
crazy.
like the Glenn Powell effect. Like, it's that undenying charisma is totally part of the movie. So like that, I think that helped me get a little more open to the concept of the movie. Especially when it's just like, okay, like he seems like somebody who's like, it's like, but it was great because he's someone that you've drawn into the film, but you don't know if he's like the villain or not. Like they're painting him as sort of like the antagonist of the film.
I mean, and then he's like this YouTuber that's just like.
I just like this stuff.
He's a tornado wrangler.
He's
Yeah.
like, yeah. If you feel it, chase it. Yeah, I said if you feel it, chase it. I really dug that, and like I don't want to get into like major spoilers of the film, but like
No, get into it.
okay,
Twist the spoilers around.
Board up. Go to your underground shelter if you haven't seen Twisters yet, because we will be going into spoilers.
Or in your empty pool.
If we haven't already gotten to spoilers,
empty
of
pool with a
course.
hole. Don't forget empty pool with a hole.
I wonder,
Okay,
I wonder if
enough.
the pool was empty because of the tornadoes.
No,
Because it was a raggedy hotel.
It's a raggedy hotel that was under renovation because that
Okay.
freaking pipe system was Oh, so many callbacks. Anyway, we're going right into it. We're going right into it.
I like how. So I mean, most of us saw it in 40x, right?
So
I did not.
three
I
of us
saw
saw
it
in
in
Three of us saw it in
40x.
40x, but you saw it in Dolby, which is still really good, and I would
Yeah,
be able to see
the
it. in
How
Dolby.
loud was
The
that in
seats
Dolby?
felt like I was in 40x.
Oh, you don't know. Nice.
But I'd assume 40x is just a
No,
whole nother
you were
level.
not holding on for dear life.
Let's just say if any of us like had popcorn or food,
It would have been all over
It would have been on the floor. It was crazy.
I have an acquaintance of a friend that he saw it with drink and popcorn. And he was fighting for his life, like just like just fighting. It
all
was
the reels
survival.
and stuff of people experiencing 40x.
Make sure you
It's
turn
been
the water
hilarious.
on.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says. Turn the water on.
What was funny is that the movie there was only 2 trailers, so the movie started earlier than usual.
Yeah.
And so there were people that came in late, and
I
they were
was
looking for
like-
for their seats.
How do you get in your seat?
They were
when
looking for their
it's
seats,
like-
and they couldn't sit down because the seats were shaking so much. They had to wait like a couple minutes for like the scene to
Alright.
die down.
Okay, so
for them to sit
before-
down. So it's pretty funny.
So before we talk about all the great like kind of callbacks to a lot of what happened in the original and like how Twisters really gave its own spin to it, is that we have to talk about the 40x experience. Yeah, definitely. I'll be honest with you. Definitely stretch. If you have any back problems, they may be aggravated by this. And that's not like
Because you get poked in the back.
that's not a negative, but to be, by the way, like it's just you're gonna move a lot. There's a lot going on, but I loved it. Like half the time, like I'm here cracking up. Like there's so much like movement, even just in the cars
Yeah.
chasing the storm. I was like, holy crap!
And a lot of
they
the
go
movie, and
off-road
a lot of the movie is them in car rides.
Yeah, and there's a lot of off-road chasing, so it made total sense. And so when you finally get into the wind stuff going on, like it's just there's mist getting thrown at you, obviously pokes in the back. It was honestly like if you can handle it, like if you're not like someone who gets motion sickness or gets aggravated for a lot of that movement, it is a fun time. Like it's like the second best 40x experience I've had.
I remember when you guys laughed at me when I said poked in the back. You didn't believe me, but now you know.
Now you know.
Now you know.
Yeah, I went with family, and I went with my sister, and she's like, "What is it that you got poked in the back?" Like it happened. She's like, "I got poked in the back. What's going
There was
on?"
debris. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like when they got hit from behind, you get poked in the back. In the car.
Do the seats have seatbelts?
No.
Or
No,
something?
they
No, they
don't.
don't.
No,
Okay,
no.
yeah.
You just gotta survive. It's Robert Downey Jr. from Survive.
So PSA: if you go to watch this movie in 40x, if your local theater has it, there are no seatbelts.
Don't bring any food.
Don't bring-
don't buy food.
Or kids that you have to hold.
Or probably don't eat like immediately before. I don't know. You can eat,
if
but
you
like,
have
I
a
don't
drink,
know,
make
man.
sure it has a lid on it. Otherwise,
Yeah,
you're
if there's no
screwed.
lid, you're boned. Like that's on you. But it's a really fun
But
time,
if it's
man.
an open container, yeah, you're effed.
Yeah,
Well, your food's effed.
it's so much fun, dude. Like it was a lot of fun. But what was also fun is not just the 40x experience, but the movie itself. This was it was a lot
It was
better
fun.
than I expected.
Yeah.
Actually, a really solid movie.
Yeah, like I liked the overarching plot of this film. The opening sequence is very much callback to like the opening sequence of the original, where like the main character has this like trauma of losing people that they know due to a storm. I liked also the callback as the one dude who got like dragged away by the debris. Apparently, he got struck by lightning. And in the original Twister, someone talks about like oh, you want to get struck by lightning, and it's like oh, you want to know what it feels like to get struck by lightning, and
I
then
didn't notice.
yeah, like someone made a lightning strike callback. I forgot who. Might have been Alan Ruck's character. No, it was in that small group, but they mentioned something about lightning strikes, and then this dude just talked about actually getting struck by lightning. So that was pretty out of hand.
That first group, that was rough. 'Cause
Yeah, that was
three
rough,
of them.
dude. Yeah,
died.
3 of them, especially this girl's like boyfriend, like just gone, but trying to like keep her safe. So it's like similar
Yeah.
to like what happened with
That's his fault.
with Joe's
It
dad.
wasn't strong enough.
Damn, Anthony with no remorse.
But how did so he flies away and then she doesn't fly away? I'm a little confused.
Well,
by
because she
that.
was holding on.
So
like,
what?
The
Like
railing or whatever that
And-
was.
the metal stuff under the
Yeah.
bridge.
I don't think he was holding on to that.
Then he's
that
Yeah.
well.
stupid.
So Kate's in the middle of all that massive storm, and then you have Javi played by Anthony Ramos, and Kate's played by Daisy Edgar Jones. If you've seen Where the Crawdads Sing, that's kind of like her breakout role. But Anthony Ramos, I think, did a really good job playing this like multi-layered character that often they both were traumatized and they went off and did their thing, and Kate just works remotely in like weather observations, and then it turns out like, hey, there's still something we can do to try to get her back. So it's like a more personal stake as opposed to like Bill from the original. Mm-hmm. So then they go in like, oh, I'm working with my startup company. We're trying to do the same thing and like the same experiment you tried to do to help figure out and study the storms and see like damage patterns and hopefully help people. And then as the movie goes on, we run into the ultra famous YouTube star Tyler the Tornado Wrangler. And then he comes off as like the obnoxious douchebag, kind of
selling merch.
Yeah, like what's merch doing in there? It's so dumb. Like, oh my god, like with people just being popular storm chasers, and especially with it being, they talk about like, oh, it's a very like once in a generation storm season. Mm-hmm. So like, oh, anybody with the weather app's now going to show up, which was cool, like a cool like update. So like now you have more people looking at this stuff. And then from there, there's this like interesting competition between Kate and Tyler. And the more the movie goes on, the more you find out, hey, Tyler kind of actually knows a lot of his stuff. Like he's not just some, Arkansas, cowboy hick dude. Like he actually studied his stuff, and he's doing it because that's like, he had a fear of tornadoes, and you realize, hey, like the way to, I used to be a bucking bronco like rodeo athlete, and at the end of that, hey. Face the thing that the thing you're scared of. Like the best way to understand is to face it. So message. And from there, like all the storm chasing, we end up going into like some of the wild like the attempts and the failures, just like in the original one. But there's so many callbacks and like tributes that go on. Like we talk about the night storm that hits, instead of it being in a drive-in theater, it's an outdoor rodeo show. Yeah. And then
it was the same thing where it was at night, and then you see like the flashes of lightning that show the big tornado.
Yeah, and everybody's like, "We gotta go!" Like that was, and the hotel, and then the whole like running theme of like, "Don't stay in your car." Like they mentioned that in the original. Like that motel. This guy who's just basically being like an ultimate Karen customer. Turns out is Bill Paxton's son. That was really cool.
His name is Kevin?
No, like the
female
girl.
Instead of the Karen, he's a Kevin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, Anthony was in
no
the theater.
offense to any Kevins out there.
Anthony's in a theater. He looks at me like, dude, that's Bill Paxton's son. And I'm like, holy shit, that's awesome. Like, that was a really cool, like, kind of nod to that.
It is a sequel.
It is a sequel, no. And then, but then at that same storm, that's when you get we got to hold on to the pipe situation. But it was also scary, too, because they're in the... they're in the pool. But you think, oh, you're underground. You're kind of underground. You're safe. Like no, Tyler's still getting pulled away, and he has to like crawl through a car, and the car falls over them, and they're kind of safe. And like they have some pretty wild, like close calls. But the set pieces were big too. You also get the destroyed town scene. If I understand,
there's like two of them. Right?
Yeah,
2 destroyed towns.
Yeah, because what ends up happening, we find the old underlying motive for Javi is that he's working with some, real estate tycoon that's just trying to buy up land on the cheap in a real dick move. Mm-hmm. So,
who's his partner?
His partner is some rando from MIT who's actually played by David Cornsweet, the future Superman.
So a lot of up and comers in this movie too. So I like that they kind of did that just like in the old one.
And he was definitely not playing
he was not a
Superman.
Yeah, he's not a farm boy raised from Kansas. He was city slicker science dude. But yeah, and like to Anthony's point, a lot of great set pieces. The part where like the one twister forms into kind of like 2, and then that's the whole point of like, oh, which one do we chase? Yeah, which one do we chase? Tyler's crew is really great. Like, and then you realize, oh, these are the guys that are really in it for like the science. Like, there's a lot of homegrown tech that they're using. They become more and more like relatable and more human instead of just like the hoity-toity people within Javi's company. And Kate starts realizing, hey, wait,
she's on the wrong side.
Am I with the bad guys here? Like, are we the bad guys? That was
because at first, they show Tyler's crew selling a bunch of merchandise. And then you realize later that they sell merchandise for money so that they can
give away
to any survivors or people in towns where
Any
the whole town
communities,
gets destroyed. So they buy food or anything.
Yeah,
that
they buy
need.
food and supplies. Like, oh, here's food and supplies. Like, hey, do you need water? And like, even like the other crew's like, hey, this was pretty wild. After the whole motel's like, hey, do you need water? Like, do you need this stuff? It's like, you're looking out for me. It's like, yeah, this was off. Like they're so human, and it was really cool. It was like, damn, like these people have heart. And then you understand more and more of Tyler, and Tyler wants to know more about Kate because it's like, hey, you're genuinely brilliant at this, and it's
you can tell she's right on most like of her guesses, not guesses, but like decisions.
her observations and decisions, yeah. And
Yeah,
at the
they
same
kind of
time,
like flipped it. Like she's like the Bill Paxton of the movie, where she's the one with those special instincts that they kind of look to see where she feels the storm will go. Because I like that one scene that shows like as they're driving, she sees like the wind patterns in the wheat.
Oh,
and she's like, all right, no, go the other way. She's like, go the other way. Yeah, I thought that was cool.
and Tyler's like, they got to write on like, I love it because Tyler, like, yeah, he's using his YouTube clout again to like actually study the storms, and we're gonna make some wild content. And he has that
The
one
guy that's in
reporter,
the back seat.
the reporter from like, I don't know if I forgot from what British newspaper, but that dude was hilarious. He was like the Melissa of this movie. Of just like, what is going on? But like, he actually signed up for it, and like the more he goes into it, the more he realizes like, hey, look, this is meaningful work. Like, we can make something happen. And like, he's really it's great because he's more gung-ho about it, and he also gets the underlying story of like, hey, this guy's like that one, was it like text something like this? I'm like your random typical like Midwest Texas tycoon kind of guy that's just trying to like buy up all the land. Like, he starts uncovering that plot too. And
his truck is
that truck is beefy.
all set up.
It's got weights on it. It's got augers. It's got augers to drill down. Like, they were getting ready
for fireworks.
We gonna make fireworks. Oh, let's talk about Boone. Boone was hilarious. At first, Boone was like, "This guy's psycho." It's like, "Oh no, this guy's just a lot of fun."
Yeah.
It's like,
psycho.
and psycho. Like when it's great because then you go back to Kate's mom's house. And you realize that she had a lot of that work done, and Tyler understands it more too. He's like, "Hey, this is pretty cool," and he's just learning more. And Tyler helps inspire Kate to get back into the whole thing, like seriously.
Like
and
the school project she had.
It's like, hey,
pretty cool.
I have researchers now, or like I have, Tyler's like, I have the resources to do this stuff. We have to change your model. We can use Javi's computing, and it finally comes together to try to help maybe dissipate a storm. Especially considering these storms, if we're comparing them to the original, like they were less like Zach said, like sentient. I'm trying to like purposely go out and try to kill you. More just like these are massive destructive forces of nature.
Totally random. Like
yeah. Like I thought at one point that like the big set piece that you see, one of the big set pieces you see in the movie trailers is like a tornado hitting an oil refinery, and it's just like it just turns into like a giant fire tornado for a little bit. I was like, oh crap, this is happening. Like it's gonna now become a fire tornado and start chasing them. But like that happened for a bit. But again, it's like one situation goes to the other, and then the town gets like, hey, like that's going towards this town. We have to save it, and then that's where the whole idea, like, hey, we have to try out the experiment now, because if not, the whole town's gonna get got.
I like the drone they had. Yeah,
that was really cool. Like, hey, we're gonna fly it in, and then it got struck by lightning, which was that's again little callbacks. I may be missing a couple stuff, but I'll open it up to the panel. I know I spoke a lot, but this movie's a lot of fun. But any other like fun moments or callbacks that you may have noticed?
Zach, where you were sitting, did you feel the water?
Yeah.
Okay, because we felt like either none or very little water. So I'm not sure if maybe like it's our row or maybe it's like the middle sections don't get as much water, because I think the water comes from the sides more than like in front of you.
I felt it come from like where the fans are blowing.
Right. So I think they have the fans blowing and then they spray out the water.
Yeah.
So that the
fans
blow out the water.
Kind of.
Right. Yeah. So I guess next time we do it, I'll make sure to go on the right side, because I want to make sure I get the full experience.
I was sitting like right on
the full poncho experience.
Was there any like smoke or like
mist? Yeah.
A little bit.
I got mystified.
Yeah, I got sprayed in the face from the seat in front of me. It was
in the front.
Yeah. The mystification happened on a couple
there
times.
was a few moments where they had different scents. Like you could kind of smell like the grass when they were driving on the grass.
Oh, wow.
I don't
Or
think
when
you
they're
smell
driving
burning at all.
A little bit.
Yeah, I
a little
smelled.
bit.
I did smell that.
some
I
burning.
wasn't having a stroke. I swear.
Did
No,
you
like I.
smell burning?
Yeah.
Like that. Like,
Yeah.
It wasn't burnt toast.
I think I
Or burnt eggs.
I smelt.
Did you also
I did not dump. But I think there were about 3 or 4 different smells that I felt.
So we had smell-o-vision?
Yeah. But and then also
Smelling anything.
so a few times where things were sparkling or if there's lightning in the
I
background.
saw strobe lights.
They had strobe lights like
Yeah.
flashing,
That,
along with you just hear the
During
fans
the
blowing
rodeo
away like
sequence
crazy.
had that. Yeah, where they would kind of and this and the fans would go crazy, but they didn't take away from the sound of the theater itself from the actual
Right,
movie.
right.
Again, it's a really whoever
that
programmed
rodeo
this had a lot of
sequence.
fun.
Like the whole final sequence, that was kind of like it was like 20 minutes of nonstop
like
seat
motion.
movement, blowing, and like everything. That was like 40x to the max for like 15-20 minutes.
it was a ride.
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty intense in Dolby
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So I could only imagine just nonstop motion while
Yeah,
you're
it
like
was- it
trying
was-
to focus on
It
the
was very
movie.
good. No, but the thing is, like, after the first couple minutes, like, it actually does feel like you're just like in the movie and you're like experiencing all this with the movie.
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling.
And
you know
I've
when they say,
mentioned-
"Oh, like it sucks you into the movie," it's like it actually did because it was going on for so long.
And I mentioned it earlier. Like
It felt really
was
immersive.
holding
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
I was holding on.
It was
Yeah,
legitimately immersive to the
So, like,
point where
Yeah,
like,
because you're holding on, you feel like the characters that are like holding
Holding
someone's
on.
hand because they're flying away. You're like,
I wrapped my right arm around the armrest and I locked it in with my
Damn,
other
that
hand.
much, wow.
I was like,
Zach was about to
I basically just had my hands on here. I was like, this is a lot of fun.
because
Like,
it was like that, or I'm like this the whole time doing this. I'm
did
like,
you
no,
hit the
I'm
person
like,
next to you?
No,
Sorry,
no.
the wind made me do it.
I think we only like bumped elbows or something
Oh, nice.
once or twice, but that was it.
did I ever? I don't think we ever like.
No, I had a pretty
Yeah,
solid,
you and I, like-
I was like.
We're experts at this, so we kind of
I was like, I know it's
up.
gonna shake a lot, so
Yeah.
I'm kind of just gonna hold on pretty tight.
I think my sister was bumping into me a lot. I'm just like, you're having a fun time. But, you know, like, that all tied into it. Like, we're like, you know, Tyler and his crew are trying to get into the town to get everybody into safe areas, which also happened in the drive-in thing in that area with, like, the car shop in the original movie.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also had, like, the movie theater, which, again, tied to the drive-in theater, which was showing Frankenstein randomly. But
Not The Shining.
not The Shining, yeah. At the same time, you have, Kate trying to send the chemical concoction that they're trying to build into the atmosphere to try to dissipate it, and then Javi's still trying to, like, you know, or like they're also seeing some of the reactions on the top end too, and everybody, Javi and Tyler and that crew is stuck in the movie theater that's basically just being sheared and torn apart to the point where I forgot her name, but she was the one who piloted the drone. Like, she was about to fly out. Tyler, already with maybe a jacked up leg, is hooking his leg onto a movie theater seat and still holding on to her.
Yeah.
Tyler is kind of the MVP.
That scene was pretty cool because by that point, the tornado had sucked that, I guess, wall where the screen was, so it all goes away and it makes it look like the screen is just the background with the tornado, and it was a pretty cool shot.
Yeah, it is like pretty wild, and at the end of that whole sequence, like, again, in our 40X theater with everything moving around, shaking, like, the finally, like, the calm ended as the storm dissipated. You know, everyone that we know
Everyone
and kind of care about can relax. But no, like, no one relaxes.
hear everyone go,
People relax. We're like, woo, and then people started clapping. They're like, wow. Like, I think I
And
had to, like, join in.
yeah.
It's like, wow. Like, just kind of like, this was a ride. So, they nailed it.
The one thing that it was kind of funny that at the very beginning during the first sequence where most of her crew gets sucked and dies.
Yeah.
Like, after that, since that was also an intense scene, after the seats were done shaking, because it was a tense moment in the movie and it was supposed to be kind of sad and shocking, but everyone was like laughing because of how, I guess,
Like,
surprised they
yeah,
were
I
guess
by
the
how much
reaction,
rocking it was.
yeah.
So it was kind of like, ooh, I don't know if like people
That
want
was
that
meant to-
reaction. Like,
yeah.
I don't think you'd want
I think-
people laughing at that moment, but
I think they realized what they signed up for
Yeah.
when they got into 40X.
yeah.
They're like, oh, we got to deal with like another hour and a half of this.
Yeah, like, oh man, no, dude, it was fun, and I think it added to the movie, and to just, you know, it really comes up to in the end, being, you know, like, you have our three main characters kind of in the end just kind of like have a good understanding of stuff, and you know Tyler, you know, if he felt it, he chased it.
Oh, no.
He was feeling it, so he had to chase it. He's like, sir, I love the Paul Shear cameo just shows up like, sir, you gotta move your car. And then he just like, drills into the ground. It's like, you ain't moving jack. And he runs in there to try to stop Kate. He's like, oh, you know, yeah, I'm definitely gonna go and see you. But then there's a storm in the background. Like, nope, flights are grounded. Just like his truck.
But yeah, I feel like the
And the end credit scene was cool too. Like they had like the all the extra footage that the reporter was putting in place, and then the article of just like storm chasing, and like, remember Tyler throughout the movie, he's like, no, she's like, oh, your story, she's the story. And like, that's kind of wild for being someone who's like, you think he'd be self-absorbed as like a YouTube star. It's like, no, like this is the real special thing right there. So kind of, again, really cool character growth, and you know, like
on a couple of them, because Anthony Ramos's character too, you know, he
the
kind
conflict.
That he doesn't, you know, he thinks he's doing something for good reasons, but realizes like, wait a minute, no, these people are, you know, they're crappy and it's messed up what they're doing. So then he goes back, and it's kind of like the redemption of him going back to the town to help the people and the main characters.
I love this, and we have to help those people in the towns. Like, and then you know, David Cornsweet's character is like, no, we gotta leave them. Like, no, we got the data. It's like, no, like these people are in danger. And then he's like, all right, you know what, fine, no, take out the. He hits him with the fake.
I don't care about the people. Or
it's like, I don't care about those people. It's like, whoa, this is
what.
That's my idol.
Kicks him out of the truck.
No,
that's not Superman.
He tricks him. He's just like, oh, go and get out the material. And then he just hits the brakes and just muds him.
I wonder where he went though, because
he could have
just ended up getting sucked by the tornado.
He got sucked by the fire tornado. Get got.
I mean, maybe he did. I'm surprised he didn't show anything like any of the opposite team get kind of messed up.
Because in the first one,
I felt bad. I felt bad for the driver.
The driver.
His name was like Eddie or something like that.
Yeah, he got...
Dude, he was the one saying like, I think we should listen to them. Let's get out of here. And then this guy's like,
Jonas is like,
no, keep going. And then he gets like Final Destinations. and gets impaled. So he double dies to a triple. He gets impaled. And then the tornado sucks it up, and then so he's already dead. And then he dies by that crash, and then it explodes. So he triple died. I was like, man, that guy did not deserve that. He wasn't really the jerk of the movie. It was like Jonas was like,
and even
Jonas
Bill
when he
was
double
like,
died.
Stupid. like you can tell, like Bill wasn't like, like this guy's a dick, but I don't want him to die. So like, dude, what the hell?
Like, Jonas deserved.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, Eddie.
That sucked. Yeah.
Yeah, that reminded me of the the log scene from Final Destination.
Final Destination 2, the most traumatic scene.
Don't drive on highways.
Don't drive behind anything that's loading big logs.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. So, speaking of debris, another fun moment in Twisters was when Kate and Javi are trying to drive and chase one of the tornadoes. They end up hitting into a shack, and he's like, I think I just hit some chickens. Dude, the biggest jump scare.
Explosion of feathers.
The biggest jump scare of the movie is when the chicken landed on the freaking on the truck. I kid you not. That was the ultimate, like, I was like so tuned in because of 4DX, and then just freaking chicken lands on the hood, and like, you know, Javi freaked out. Like half the theater freaked out. I wasn't the only one. So very well played.
Yeah, like the first time that they showed Tyler actually go into the like tornado and like drill down, and then he shoots the fireworks, and they like look up. You can see the middle of the tornado and the explosions happening. They're like, "What is this guy doing?"
That was like, woo! Yeah, that was a lot of
having fun, man.
You know what's wild?
They're wrangling the tornado.
So
instead of taming it, that's what the other mantra was.
Tornado wrangling. Fun fact about just two things I wanted to bring up. I know Anthony will probably bring up the music score in a moment, but the director of Twisters is Lee Isaac Chung. He actually directed an episode of The Mandalorian. It was a season 3 episode with Dr. What's his name?
Dr. What's his name?
The guy who was the cloner. No, not Dr.
So he directed the one episode that was like didn't have pretty much didn't have the Mandalorian.
It was like the side character episode, the one that established that.
Is that why that actress is in this movie?
Probably.
She was like the main character of that episode.
Yeah, because it turns out she was the one that's like you care about Katie O'Brien. Yeah, so anyway, yeah. So I guess she's cool. Like, hey, you want to be in Twisters? She's probably like,
Sure.
hell yeah.
He also directed Minari, which is
Wait, really?
the
Yeah.
2020 movie
Holy
with
crap.
Steven Yeun.
Academy Award. Yeah, that's the great stuff. Yeah. So the guy, he knows what he's doing. I just gotta say that, man. The guy knows what he's doing. Give him more projects. I think he can kind of really play around with a lot of that. So that was big kudos to him. He wrangled the storm that is Twisters.
I think for
And
the
he really
most
did
part, I like the direction. I did feel like there was a lot of times where it seemed like the camera was like up close to the actors, like in the cars, instead of like on them a little bit, and then okay, let's look outside to see where they're driving. So it's more like, let's be in the car this whole time, and then we'll get to like one scene with the tornado instead of, because I know there's that one really cool shot in the first movie with the first tornado where when they realize that okay, it's coming after us and they're running away from it, where it's like a very wide shot, and that was I think one of the showcases of like the trailer to show like, oh, look at the CGI of these tornadoes, where it was like the tornado in the background, and it looks like it's chasing them, and it's just like destroying everything.
it was
its path.
zigzagging.
Yeah, it was like
And then
zigzagging
getting to
while
them.
coming toward them, and it was a really cool shot.
That's the
I
first
felt
Dorothy
like they
deployment.
had. I think they
Yeah.
had like one or two of those in Twisters, but it didn't feel as intense, I guess, to me. But that's
I felt like there
it's
was
just
more
a little-
intensity when they were outside of the vehicles.
Right,
Because
because they're not in like a safe space, so it's like they have to actually go somewhere to not be affected.
Yeah, and also like Tyler's truck is a freaking storm machine.
It's a tank.
Yeah, it's literally a tank that had artillery and fireworks. Anyway, yeah, I think they balanced it out with more of the we're not in the safe space of these vehicles that are able to handle that, or at least in the observational kind of thing. So
The first time I saw his truck, it reminded me of Taste the Beast.
she's tasting your beast, bro.
From Role Models. But,
Taste the Beast.
Go watch Role Models if you haven't.
That's our man. That's every once in a while we have to remind everybody watch Role Models. It's one of Paul Rudd's better comedies for sure. Danny, Zach, any lasting thoughts about Twisters?
I somehow need to go back in time to be able to see it in 4DX.
Yeah,
Hopefully
me
they'll
anytime
re-release
soon.
it sometime.
Well, kind of
they're-
like how they re-released it for Top Gun.
Yeah.
I know Deadpool and Wolverine will probably have 4DX showings this weekend,
Yeah,
but
then
they
maybe
might
they'll go
they
back.
might have both movies showing.
Yeah.
because I think
It did
it's been
so
widely
well.
known that a lot of people enjoyed the experience of Twisters in 4DX, and 4DX probably won't be as good with Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't know.
A lot of
how
back
much-
pokes.
Yeah, I don't know. You'll get bladed. But yeah, so we'll see. If it does stay in 4DX longer, or if they bring it back, I'll probably want to go again.
Yeah.
Tell other people to go. Be like, hey, I'll go again. If,
Yeah, I would do this again. I would
If other
definitely
folks
4DX
wanna
it
go.
again.
But
Yeah.
the score, I didn't really notice it too much. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad either. I think it was serviceable for the movie. It was pretty good. The score was done by Benjamin Wallfish.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know of his work,
Yeah,
but
you
do I?
Yeah, you
What
do.
movies did he do?
Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, okay, nice, nice.
The Flash.
I've seen that movie.
It.
Okay,
He also did
The Invisible Man.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, that one's actually pretty good.
Okay.
Which one else? Oh, he did the music for the Tiny World docu-series on Apple TV Plus. Yo, that's has one of my favorite sequences of all time with the dung beetles fighting like that. He deserves an award. He also did the 2021 Mortal Kombat.
Okay. All right. Pretty cool then.
So yeah, dude knows what he's doing.
So I wonder. I mean, the original movie didn't get a sequel, unless you call this one a sequel.
I would.
But I wonder. This one seemed to be popular. A lot of people enjoyed it and watched it. I wonder if they're gonna do sequels to this one. I mean, I don't see why they couldn't. You just make another movie
we
with
gonna go
them.
back
You would
Chasing
call it.
Twisters.
You would call it Twister, but the E is a 3. Twist 3 years.
Or you launch your natural disaster universe.
No.
So you have to do one called Hurricane, and then
Hurricane,
and then do
Tsunami.
and then do Geostorm 2. That's
and then you
Like
tie it into
crossovers with Sharknado.
you have it retroactively crossover with San Andreas.
there you go. Just call it 2012
No,
2.
and then The Rock will show up and take over the franchise.
2012 Part 2.
2012
15 years later.
2026. No. Yeah. So I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, the acting was good. I mean, so far as usual, Glenn Powell was great.
Yeah, dude. Anthony
Daisy
Ramos is low key great and stuff too,
Daisy
man.
Edgar Jones was good. Anthony Ramos was good. Yeah, I mean, everybody did a good job.
Even David Cornsweat's good. So like he can play the end of the spectrum where he's just a total douchebag. I can't wait to see him play the top end of the spectrum where he's
What
just
if
like
he's a
the nicest
douchebag
person.
Superman?
That would be awful. That would be awful. And I
It
would
would
hate
be.
it.
Yeah, if they
That's
want money,
completely-
I don't think you should do that.
Completely antithetical to whatever James Gunn's been saying he wants to do. But anyway, do I have to ask the ultimate question now of
Ratings?
of which one do you like better, Twister or Twisters? I'll open it to the panel. Danny, you first.
I think I'm gonna say that I like Twisters better. I don't know. I just felt like I had a fun time watching it, and like audio-wise, visually, everything was pretty top-notch. And I just like the characters. The characters were pretty fun and cool.
Yeah, I would agree that the characters were very like they had more life. Like the more you got to know Tyler's crew, the more they reminded me a lot of like Joe Harding's crew that Bill used to be a part of, where it's just like, you know, just kind of settling and like, oh, these guys are really, really cool. And so like it was cool to see Kate be more of the outsider and then kind of like have to grow into it.
Yeah.
As opposed to just like you assume that, oh, you guys are together and just like, aha, like we're getting into it. Like, you know, Bill's just getting back to his old roots again. That felt natural, and we stuck with basically like I will say that Twister, although like Joe Harding's supposed to, you would think Joe Harding's the main character, but it's more like because of the whole sequence at the beginning. But then it's like it feels then like Bill's the main character, and then just dealing with the whole drama of his possible future wife and his, you know, separated wife at the moment, how to reconcile all that while chasing storms. Twisters had more of an actual plot of like, hey, this is your one of your former friends coming back to kind of get you back into the game for like an actual really good cause.
Yeah.
More like, not that Joe's obviously like trying to like study storms is better, but this is like, hey, we can maybe stop some of these as well. And yeah, I would, as much as I really deeply love Bill Paxton's work and like a lot of the old school cast, like it's hard to say. Like it's just what really separates Twisters from Twister is honestly the Glenn Powell factor. As wild as that is, man, he's just too damn charismatic. And it might be blasphemy to say, but like I've seen Twister a lot of times, and now seeing Twister, and maybe I have to watch Twisters again. But like if I were to be like reserved, I would say they're tied. I wouldn't like, that's like a non-answer, but like if anything, I would say Twisters would be a little better.
That's kind of where I'm going, because I feel like, I mean, neither of these are amazing movies, but they're both fun. They're both entertaining to watch, and I feel like, you know, maybe Twisters does some things that I like more than Twister does, and then vice versa. So it's like I kind of like the characters a little bit more in Twisters, but I like the pacing better, and maybe like some of the direction and story points of Twister. But you know, obviously the effects are better in Twisters, but you know, it's a newer movie, so it's like a little give and go between the two. So for me, it's kind of like a tie, but just because I'd give the edge just a little bit more to Twister, just because of the, I guess for me, a nostalgia factor. And at the time when that came out, I was like, whoa, like I don't think I'd seen anything like that. I don't know of even movies prior to, if they were tornado movies, like if they were that fun and if they looked that good.
It was
at
like fun, but also thrilling too. Like both movies are fun but thrilling.
Yeah.
Like it's like, man, this is a lot of fun, but like, whoa, there's danger, and then
right. So I just rewatched Twister again, and it was still good. Like I still had a good time with it. I feel like Twisters takes a little bit longer to get you introduced to all the characters, but once Twisters gets going, then it goes. And I feel like Twisters sort of does the same thing, but it's like a quick, almost like a 10 minutes or 15 minutes of this is how it's going, and then it's like 24 hours of them chasing this crazy anomaly of
give you one day
of multiple storms happening within like midday of one day all the way to midday of the next day. And so yeah, I mean they're both really fun movies, so I can't really complain. I'm not gonna be like, oh, this is like 10 out of 10 Christopher Nolan movie is amazing, but no, they're both very entertaining and fun to watch. And I wouldn't mind watching Twisters again, just like I watched Twister, the first one, today, and it was just as good. I saw it a few years ago. I've seen it multiple times. So yeah, sort of tied, but I give the edge to OG Twister.
Cool, I can definitely respect that.
That would be not if Twister, the old one, came out in 4DX. That would be awesome. I would definitely go watch it.
That's pretty badass, yeah. All right, so
and also because you have Philip Seymour Hoffman screaming "The Extreme."
Yeah,
that right there. It goes from
That's an extra point.
Like
right there.
if one of them's like a 7, then that's like okay 7.1. Boom. Like,
oh yeah, then they have some like Sammy Hagar Van Halen song that's playing. I was I was like, yo, this is like the soundtrack was cool too. Yeah. But
hold on. I just remembered something that I want to mention. That
there's like one scene where they're just driving and there's like hardcore guitar going. I'm like, what is this? I'm like, okay, it is Van Halen. I'm like, yeah, it sounds like Van Halen.
What I wanted to kind of add to comment on the original one and to talk about like how I thought like the tornadoes would have sentience. Why would they give the tornadoes growls? Like they're lions or something?
It's actually, I looked this up. Like it's a slowed down camel like a camel sound. Like it's a slowed down camel sound.
But it sounds like a growl.
How old are you, Zach? How old are you?
26.
Okay, how many hurricanes have you lived through here in Miami?
Probably a handful. I know like Katrina, Wilma from like 05.
And you've never heard like the howling winds?
Howling winds, but not rumbling, growling, like kind of sound.
I don't know, man.
I don't know if I heard growling.
That's what the tornadoes had.
We were around during Andrew.
Hurricane Andrew sounded
like a train.
It sounded like a growling locomotive. Like it was like
it was weird.
It would be
so that's why when I saw
howling, we had it was like fast, but like a deep, really deep sound that really almost made it sound like animalistic in that sense. And then once that part came through, and then you got the fast winds, it was a train. And I remember it's a train, and then glass shattering, pop, pop, pop.
So I guess that's why, like, when I hear those noises in the movie that came out a couple years later than Hurricane Andrew, that doesn't really cross my mind because I'm like, yeah, it probably does sound like that.
Dude, Twister came out 4 years after Andrew almost.
Yes, because Andrew was what, 92?
92, yeah. Damn, dude, like, that's wild.
Yeah. We were both pretty young, and but I still remember pretty vividly.
Yeah,
I remember pretty vividly.
We were 5, and then like that we were basically 9 years. Yeah, you were 9. Yeah, you were 9 already for Twister.
1992?
No, for when Twister came out.
Yeah, when Twister came out, I wasn't there yet. But I think I was 4 or 5. I think I was 5.
And back then the movies had the movies had longer legs when they stayed in the theaters for a bit longer too. So like I was almost 9 when the movie came out.
But so I guess like I didn't really think about that growl because I just assumed like since I've never seen a tornado, I'm just like I assume that it's.
I'm like good. I'm like accurate sound design. Thank you, bravo.
To me, it was very alien because I'm like they make it sound like it's like an animal, like it's coming after you, like it's gonna prey on you.
Especially the first one. Yes, that thing's coming after you.
Because in the second one, obviously, like I didn't notice any of that, but the first one, I was like it sounds like
it's definitely
a lion or a tiger growling.
More on the first one, I noticed.
No, lion growling would be this dude from Hot Fuzz after he shoots the thing. It's just that's an actual lion growl for no reason. But
the twin tornadoes were making sounds of twins. That's
twins.
We got twins.
We got twins. Oh, Boone, Boone's so damn funny. All right, so going back to what you originally thought, like which would you put? Which did you in the end enjoy more? But I think I know the answer.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the second one. I'm gonna say Twisters. But by a pretty larger margin than like
recency bias.
Than what he said over the originally. Hey, I said the I put Twisters over, but just barely. Like
no,
just
for me it's
barely.
like I would like to watch this one more than the original one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Twisters didn't have a scene where a car just slams into the area where everybody's hiding. And then makes a huge hole in that the hangar.
No, it wasn't a hangar. It was a car shop.
Yeah,
in
the car shop. And then because there was a hole from that car that flew in there, then a bunch of other stuff started flying in, and then it cut this dude's head. Oh, yeah. You remember that part?
Oh, yeah. It was nuts.
That whole scene, I was like, what is happening here?
Dude,
like,
you remember the diner where they're just like, she's like, oh, let me have 5 coffees. Also, get the hell out.
Yeah.
Like, they just went back.
No. She had to, like, stare into space, like, because she wanted to, like, see and feel the tornado that's like right there. After 2 minutes, then she tells everybody, get out of here. I'm like, man, you probably killed those people.
Yeah, like
by spacing out. Right.
Joe Harding had this weird, like, you found out, like, I need to know why. Like, why did the storm take my dad? Like, but like, she's still in awe of like the sheer power of the nature of the tornadoes. And you get some of that again with like Kate, but like a lot of her like trauma and like, kind of freaking out, especially when a tornado passes over and then she's in there like freaking out. Like, oh no, I can't make decisions, gotta go. Like that feels more natural to me than with Joe's kind of wild determination to get the Dorothy's probes up.
They don't drive through a house in Twisters.
That is true. I will give that over Twister.
That was like a set. They created a set and drove through it with a car.
Like they drove a Ram F-250 through a messed up house. And also the house rescue of her aunt, I think I liked.
That's a good set piece too. So like the moments in Twisters that I liked is after the destruction and they like come out of the rubble and they show I was like, that's a set. Like, and that's very impressive that you can create a big wide destruction. I'm like, wow, that's impressive. They did it twice.
They still got it. No volume or anything. Like, no, they made that stuff happen.
It was, again, I enjoyed both of them. I think the science in the second one was a little iffy to me. It felt like it was a little bit too made up that I had to like think about it, and I'm like, this kind of doesn't make sense. But it's like, let's just dissipate the tornado by doing this stuff. At least in the first one, it was more like we want to do this to monitor and try to track the data,
and then get an earlier war detection warning system.
Not let's throw in chemicals to dissipate it. So I don't know, it's kind of whatever. But
man, times change in almost 30 years.
Almost.
In almost 30 years.
Definitely go watch in 4DX if you can, even though it may not be available anymore. If not,
just watch both.
Watch it in theaters, yeah.
Yeah, just go and watch both. Have a lot of fun. You'll see the
rewatch the first one. It's on HBO Max, and then go watch
the one to watch for Twister.
The sequel, or whatever we're calling it.
It's just a sequel. It's not. It's a sequel that's not tied into. I guess what Zach said, I would agree with. It's a standalone sequel. Like it's set within that same thing.
It's not a prequel sequel, and it's not a
prequel sequel.
Yeah. It's not a prequel sequel.
And it's not a
legacy sequel. Or it's not like
it's not a
Joe Harding's coming back and just like, hey, you're my new protege.
So would it be a reboot-quel? Because it's like a rebooting, but it's also a sequel?
Well, okay, so is it a reboot-quel different from the legacy sequels? Yes, right? Because your legacy sequels, like you're continuing the story, but using a new character while using characters from the original as an anchor.
The third Jurassic Park Dominion, that's a legacy sequel.
Yeah, because you're
bringing back all the OGs back, even though it's like the third movie of the new trilogy.
And then Jurassic World is a reboot-quel.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I agree with that. I'm cool with that.
I wouldn't say Dominion is a legacy sequel.
It is, because it's like you're bringing back the old people because it's like 30 years later.
It's already a sequel of Jurassic World,
which was
which is reboot.
Second, I forgot what the second one's called.
A sequel is still a continuation from an original story. So if it's...
Jurassic World from 2015 is already a sequel to Jurassic Park.
That's a reboot-quel.
3.
They're rebooting with new characters, but they're saying it's in the same world.
But you still have...
It's a sequel, but a reboot.
What's that dude's name?
Ian Malcolm.
Was it... What's the actor's name? Is it B.D. Wong?
Yeah.
B.D. Wong.
Yes. Andy and Malcolm were in...
the same character.
Yeah.
In Jurassic World or Dominion?
In
Or
the
sorry,
first
or
one, in the
Fallen
first
Kingdom.
In both.
Fallen Kingdom, that's what it's called.
Yeah. So,
Wasn't
BD-1
Ian
was
Malcolm
also-
at
no.
the end of the first
No,
one?
Fallen Kingdom.
Oh,
No,
okay.
BD1 was in the
was in World
the first one
because they
in the
talked
first
about
world.
Indominus Rex. Yeah.
Yeah, he was there talking about it.
Anyway.
so it's not like
Yeah.
it's a sequel just taking place like
Yeah, but that's the
20
thing is
years
it's
later.
not the same character. It's not like Alan Grant,
It's not the
Ian
main
Malcolm.
character, but there are characters.
because like
from
Jurassic,
the
like
original.
the Lost World
Yeah.
is a straight up sequel because you're using one of the main characters and you're using someone John Hammond, Ian Malcolm is coming through to do stuff while introducing new things, and then also the third one is a sequel because you're bringing in Alan Grant. Jurassic World, although you're using second
It's in the same universe.
a secondary character in that same type of universe shared stories thing, that's its own. That is a sort of a reboot sequel because you want to start fresh but within the same playground. It's like playground. You make a sandcastle. I'm gonna use the same playground but make a bigger, fancier sandcastle.
And Glenn Powell's the new Chris Pratt.
Glenn Powell's the new Chris Pratt.
Put him in everything.
No man, Glenn Powell's Glenn Powell. I can't. You put him in everything, but like he's his own thing, dude. Glenn Powell's too cool.
He's his own
Breaking news: he's in the new Jurassic World movie.
Hey, wasn't there a rumor about that actually?
I mean,
I thought
they've already announced a lot of people who are in it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Scarlett
there's a
Johansson's
rumor
in it.
on it. Well, what isn't going to be rumored?
There's a rumor that he might be the new Batman.
That'd be weird. Squinty Batman. I don't know. No, he'd be Green Arrow.
I can see a Green Arrow.
He'd be an awesome
He's definitely
Green Arrow.
Oliver
He can be
Queen.
anywhere.
He'd be an awesome Green Arrow. But what won't be a rumor is what next week's episode's going to be. Danny, remind the audience, what are we going to talk about next time?
So,
Horizon.
for next time, it's obviously going to be about Deadpool and Wolverine.
Dude, I can't wait. I'm trying not to get super hyped, but looks like it's going to be
Which-
another fun time at the movies.
At the time of recording, we are watching it tomorrow night in Dolby. So
We'll
that'll
give
be a
everybody
fun time.
a week.
So by the time that you're listening to this, we've already seen it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, we've already seen it.
And
And
it would have
probably
been.
already
And it was
seen
great. / it was terrible. / it was okay. / okay.
Slash.
Just
Three
use
slashes
the correct.
of Wolverine.
Use the correct one that
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I cannot wait for that. Get your Wolverine Nightmare Fuel popcorn bucket ready. But we cannot wait to talk about that one. We're going to try to do a video stream. We're putting that out there, trying to make that happen. So stay tuned to that. But in the meantime, continue to follow us, like, and subscribe on all of our platforms, social media platforms, as well as your podcast platform of choice. We truly appreciate the time that you take to hear us ramble and have a lot of fun and share our interesting, unique takes on our movie experiences and how that ties into what we've seen from modern days as well as some of the older stuff. So until next time, everybody, and if you feel it,
Chase it.
it.